Welcome to Come and See, your podcast for finding truth in a world of chaos. Brought to you by All for Jesus Living Waters Ministry. With host and founder Richard Case and co-host and retreat leader Kathy Ricconi. Join us every weekday at this time to discuss news, spend time in the Word, and receive answers to your personal questions about living life in God's truth. And now your host, Richard Case.
Well, good morning, Kathy. How are you doing today? We're excited as I believe this is taping Christmas week, so everybody...
right around there, I think. Yeah.
Should be having. We're excited about Christmas time coming up. We're actually taping this in November, actually prior to Thanksgiving, as we're trying to get ahead of the holidays ourselves. And we had a great conversation. And if you haven't, listened to it, go back to the November 17th session. That actually it was guest day, but the guests were Kathy and Dan, Rich and Linda, and we shared about how to enjoy the holidays. And we would urge everybody to go back and listen to that, so that even now, you've got this week coming up when this airs of Christmas, and maybe your December's already been stressful, but there are things you can still do now to enjoy, the rest of these days and into the new year, where
so that you don't miss the moment and you get to enjoy being present in it.
Yeah, enjoy it. So go back and do that, and then. I don't know if you can see a little bit of my background there. Our house is now completely decorated for Christmas.
Yes, and this is only the middle of November,
yeah.
And you are completely decorated.
We're completely decorated.
I love it.
And it's magnificent. And we do it purposely because it is so magnificent that we love. It just is such a stimulating thing to experience the beauty of it, and Linda's done such a great job, and we love doing it, and I know you're getting ready the day after Thanksgiving, right? Is when you kind of everybody comes together.
Yeah, so we blast, and I know, like I said, this is Christmas week now, so everybody's already decorated and all of that, but we actually have already finished most of our outdoor lights. It's mid-November now, but while the weather was decent, took care of that, and we will plug those in Thanksgiving night. So everything gets turned on then, and then the very next day is our day of just blasting the house with Christmas. And so 10 trees will go up, decorations everywhere, and it's just a fun, festive, exciting start to the holidays.
Yeah, in our, because of just something that we always enjoyed doing our whole married career. We obviously have always decorated our house well and enjoyed it. And Linda's an interior designer, so she's great at it. And so she and I, we've done this decorating of the house at Christmas, and then our daughter Michelle and our other kids too all became super decorators too. They loved it because it's kind of funny how tradition kind of influences people, but since they enjoyed it so much as children, when they became adults, they picked it up themselves, and Michelle was actually a premium, could do this with great, panache and beauty. And so when she passed, one of the things we did was we actually transferred all of her totes of decorations, and she did
which were a lot.
Yeah,
she had a lot.
Which because of the way Linda did it, and she learned to do it too. It's Christmas, then it's Valentine's, then it's Easter, then it's July 4th, and then it's fall, and then it's Christmas. And so there's and everybody put them in different colored totes so they know that that's the season. So it's really funny. But we brought them all here and packed them away. And now what Linda's doing at each season, like the Christmas is our first one, is she brought all of our stuff out, and then we had to get some help, but they brought the totes and got everything of Michelle's out. So
Oh,
we were
wow.
so we were in our house on our floor and everything. You couldn't even hardly walk because all the stuff is all over the place.
Oh.
And then Michelle or Linda and her friend decided what to keep now between
Mm,
the two of them, and now they've got in a sense, a new set. And the
right.
other things we're not going to keep, which are some of Michelle, some of ours, we're going to give that away.
Mm-hmm.
And over the next year, we're going to clean up every holiday, every season
Right. Now,
with this
here's a
new.
question for you. In that giving away, is that getting passed on? Like our kids have dibs. Like they already talk about dibs on our Christmas decorations. And, Anna's boyfriend, they've been together for 4 years now, and we assume he's going to be the forever too. He's got just a beautiful heart for God. But he's an engineer, a study in engineering. And so he has this thing about Dan's lights outside. And I think he already has in his mind a plan for how he's going to outdo Dan.
Right.
But the fact that it takes so many and lights are so expensive, he's got ideas on getting a lot of our lights as we move on to different things so that he
Right.
can start his own collection.
That's right.
But I know the kids all kind of have eyes on things. I don't know if your kids um,
Well, it
are the
goes.
same in
Well,
that.
it does. It goes in. Now, remember, because they learned how to do this, they've got their own already.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
So
That's a good point.
they already
But
are
Aiden
well.
and Josh.
Aiden and Joshua, they've got it. And so, yeah, as we then have, okay, we're gonna give these things away before we go give it away to an agency or something. Yep, go through it. Something you want,
Right. The
absolutely.
grandkids may want some dibs on those things.
Yeah, and of course, a lot of them, interesting enough, already things that we actually still keep. They've kind of already said, hey, by the way,
Right.
we would like that, later, so yeah, we get that. No problem.
Yeah, we get that too.
So we're experiencing that and pray that everybody does. We've been talking about prayer. And remember that prayer is what Jesus described it as to his disciples of, you've been spending 3 years with me, and we've been living in dialogue with each other. And I'd like you guys to understand that's prayer. It's not going off and giving me your list.
Right.
It's dialogue so that you learned, and they learned it well because we see it in Acts and in the New Testament writing, and Paul actually and others give us these conditions to pray to receive answers. If you do this, you'll experience the answer. And so it's always out of God's, instruction of, pray to the Father, Dad, my Father, thy kingdom come in the kingdom, living with him in the kingdom, and then my will be done. So the dialogue is always about God's will and what do you have in mind, and help me to stay on the path and let me enjoy you, and you're going to do supernatural things. So that he said the way that his disciples functioned for 3 years, that was prayer. So start to think of prayer differently than my desires that I'm asking God to answer one way or the other. It's really a completely different perspective of, I get to be in relationship with the God of the universe that knows, with the God of the universe that can deliver his will. His will is supernatural, and his will is going to be based on the covenant. I'm going to bless you to make you a blessing. I've come to give you life and give it to you super abundantly. Now, it's all aspects of it. So don't limit it to, well, then I'll just pray for more money. No, that's not what he's talking about, superabundance. There can be people, and I know people, including work that I've done in third world countries, where they literally don't have any money.
Right.
But they have
Yet they can be walking in
they have a
abundance.
super abundant life, because it's not about wealth. It can be, but it's not about wealth. It's about the fullness of all that God has for us. So we learned last time, as we talked about these conditions, that he said, if you pray in my name, it will be done. And we talked about the authority. We're receiving his will. We understand that he says, yes, I am telling you this is going to now be available for you to fulfill, and I give you my authority behind it to execute it. We turn into this next one. Remember, these are if-then statements, and they're conditions, what we call conditions to answered prayer. And look at it differently, and that is, it's not about maybe the prayer will be answered. Interesting enough, if I meet these conditions, every single prayer will be answered. So we got to find out, okay, what does that mean and what does that look like? So let's go to John 15. Our whole ministry is based on John 15, 1-5. If you abide in me, you'll bear much fruit, and apart from me, you can do nothing. So then he makes another statement, an if-then statement in John 15, 7 and 8. Go ahead and read that.
It says, if you abide in me and my words abide in you, you will ask what you desire, and it shall be done for you. By this, my Father is glorified, that you bear much fruit, so you will be my disciples.
Okay. So it's an if-then. First of all, he says, if you abide in me. Okay, now, and this is important because we got to be careful about how we define abiding. We know that it is centered, which we'll see here, on his word, but it's not Bible study.
Right.
It's not being in a group and studying something, or I may even doing my devotion in the morning. He says, if you abide in me, stop. Okay. The relationship. And he's already described it. A branch abides in the vine.
Right.
Okay, how often does a branch abide in the vine?
24/7.
Yeah. It's connected.
to.
It's connected.
Right.
See, it's not I got on in the morning and then I'm off. It's no, you're abiding by remaining in the relationship. I have my Holy Spirit within you. I'm going to speak to you. You're going to speak to me. We'll be in relationship. My life will be being poured out into you and through you all the time. And so just stay in relationship. And again, as we've kind of described this, it means stay in the kingdom, stay in dialogue, stay open to all that God wants to do, and you're just with him. And that's abiding. I'm just with him all the time. So it's not even limited to just going to church or being in my small group or reading the Bible or even going off into a corner and praying. It's no, you're abiding in that relationship and you're enjoying the life of that relationship.
You know, I know we've said it so many times before, but going back to the word for abide just always creates a beautiful picture to me. And that original word is meno, which is to sojourn, to tarry, to remain, to abide, to be held continually.
Yeah.
And that picture, that to be held continually, literally, I picture when I think of that, because there's so many, personally, this is my visual of it. You know, there's so many verses in the Bible that talk about the right hand of God. And so when I think of that to be held continually, I picture him holding me by his right hand 24/7 and us journeying together, and me just staying with him, wanting to just stay with him.
Yeah, it really is beautiful. So he says, the first condition is, will stay with me, remain, tarry, live with me, walk with me. The second condition is, and if my words abide in you. Okay, so that means that as I'm with him, what is he going to do?
He's going to be speaking.
He's going to be speaking. The word here is rhema, and it's an application of logos and my personal instruction to you, that you begin to have it remain, stay with, be part of what you're understanding, because you're taking the time to have those words. And by the way, it isn't singular. And that's why these verses mean something, that you don't say, it's not concepts. Okay, I'll be a loving person. Well, what verse are you talking about there? What is he said about this? And all of those words need to get inside of you. And that means that I could speak them and I can begin to understand what they mean, and how it applies to me. And I have that truth within me because I took the time, so that it's not a memory system, but it's memorizing scripture that God is speaking to you as you're so abiding about either. And again, I always look at it in kind of two different ways. One, I'm always abiding in something that God is working on in my life, for me to go deeper into understanding, and either transformation or learning something new, like healing, for example.
Right.
When I was first learning healing, I was very skeptical of it because I had seen such phoniness with it all. And I knew it wasn't right. And so I tended to reject it all,
Right.
And then God helped me with, well, wait a minute. Would you like to learn this? Yeah. Okay, well, let's go abide in my word and walk with me over weeks and months, as I'm now going to instruct you and show you a truth for where you receive it and you live it and you experience it. And that's what I call, always in my personal abiding is just something that he says, I'm ready to show you something. And that takes time, and that takes, it's usually for me, it's weeks and months. And that is,
and it's fun.
It's
you
fun.
Enjoy it.
And don't worry about getting to the end line, just, and the way I portray that, by the way, is, God says, I'm putting together a jigsaw puzzle for you. And by the way, for me, this is an interesting image because I do not like jigsaw puzzles at all.
Right.
Linda and Michelle, they loved it. They would do it every trip. They would do jigsaw puzzles, and they loved it. But for me, it was just too, it wasn't fast enough, basically, for me. But God said, okay, you need to take your time, and I'm going to give you a piece, and you'll see it kind of goes up in the corner over there, and just put it up there. But I haven't connected dots yet. I haven't connected everything yet. And don't you try to connect them. Just, you got that piece, receive it. I'll get the next one, get the next. Pretty soon, the whole picture will be filled in. And it's like, I see it now. I got it. I understand it. And that was what happened with healing. It took me months of dialogue and process and time in the Word and understanding that it was real, and I understood it because I had a lot of questions about it. And he said, okay, now as I speak to you, I need these words to get inside of you. So that as I did that, I got led to, let's say Jeremiah 33:6 is that I'm going to give to you health and healing, so that you enjoy all the peace and truth that brings. Well, I had to abide in that to, okay, I got the word, I started to memorize it, let it be in me. Now, I didn't fully understand what it meant yet, but the word had to abide in me, and it was all the words, not just some or concept. Right. So when you're abiding in him, and now my words abide in you, first of all, he's speaking it, not you. I'm not chasing it. I'm not deciding it. Okay, I've received life here. I've got to abide in that. I got to have that become true to me. And then I have to work through to where it gets to the point where it truly is in me. He said, when that happens, you can do what? Pray. May it be done as you just said. Right. He doesn't do it absent of that condition. So it's not pray what you want. It's, well, the condition, son, is that you're abiding in me and I've spoken to you. Now you pray.
And then you can count on what I've spoken.
Yeah. Now you can pray that, and by this, circumstances change, and it's fulfilled, and my Father is glorified because you know, and you'll be able to share that it wasn't you.
Right. Right.
It was the work of God, and I stayed with that process. I abided in the relationship, and He abided in me. And so I have the first area is the things that He's teaching me that I love, and it's building my library of truth over my lifetime, and I love that. The second thing is that we all have what I call unresolved issues, or things that are decisions or problems or circumstances that, well, we need some answers.
That we need answers for, right?
And you and I went through with the audience over the last year, and we had live scenario, and that was our daughter, our son, our grandson is trying to select a school. Well, we're seeking God's answer. And we walked into that, and He said, well, if you abide in me and my words abide in you, the truths that I'm telling you that show you it's this way, not that way. Go this way, not that way. And you start to build it up because you receive it. And now okay, I know something now. And Emily, your daughter, went through a great discussion of, I started out with this many and brought it down to this many, and then I brought it down to 2, and then God showed me the 1. And what I didn't do is backtrack on the things that I was learning. I went forward on the truth that was now abiding. Okay, got it. Abiding with you. So that as we're seeking His will, it's let's go to Him, and what do you have to say about this? And then let me understand it. And we take everything to Him, knowing that I have an issue, I have a thought here, I have a discussion, and I want to go forward. Okay, now we got a question that we can illustrate this with a little bit. So go ahead, Kathy. We got a great question sent to us. So read this, and we'll kind of apply it here.
Sure. It says, I'm struggling with staying in the covenant. I operate a business with 45 employees. Mondays are the worst. After a great weekend and spending time in the Word, I get bombarded with problems, especially on Monday. What can I do to stay in the covenant? I get irritated and short with people.
Yeah. Okay.
We can all relate to that, right?
Yeah. Okay. So one is that the question is around, I've been learning some things about the covenant. This is born out of the time we've been spending. Prior to this series, we did the covenant. So somebody's listening to that, and they're receiving, well, the covenant says,
right,
I'm going to bless you to make you a blessing. I'm going to command blessing. And so they're starting to learn that. Okay, now their real experience doesn't quite line up with that.
Right.
It's like, wait a minute. I have a heart for the covenant. I'm trying to learn the covenant, and yet I'm not experiencing the covenant. And what's up? And how do I approach this? What do I do with this? So that the issue is, okay, now in your opportunity in prayer and to seek God's will is, well, let's now go into that process and don't stop with, well, when you give me the covenant, then I'll know it to be true. And if you don't give me the covenant, then I guess it's not true, and I give up on it. And God said, well, you put a condition on me and want me to perform for you as opposed to the other way around. He said, no, you got to be in my kingdom, which is righteousness, peace, and joy, and you've got to seek my will. Okay, so what you would do, first of all, it's a great question because it's born out of, well, if this is true, how does it work in essence when it isn't working? Okay, great question. Hallelujah. Now let's go to God and ask God the question. Okay, Father, my question to you is, I'm learning some things about covenant, and now how do I apply that so that I get to enjoy my business, which really I'm not enjoying? And by the way, particularly on Mondays, when all of the crud comes out, and every Monday I know, oh man, this is not going to be pleasant. And I probably, this guy probably, if I talked to him, would say, probably Sunday afternoon and evening, I'm starting to already get ready for that, and
Right.
and I had a pretty good weekend, but then I have this. Okay, well, let's go find out, what it is that God would say. Okay, well, go to Psalm 25 and read verses 4 and 5.
Sure. Psalm 25, verses 4 and 5 says, "Show me your ways, O Lord. Teach me your paths. Lead me in your truth and teach me, for you are the God of my salvation. On you I wait all the day."
Yeah. So he said, if you're going to be led into salvation and into the covenant, well, you have to be led into truth. Okay, so the question really becomes, and this is true for most of us, is that I'm starting to see something, or I've been exposed to something, but I don't yet see it happen. Could you teach me how to actually experience this? Okay, now God says, in order for that to happen, I have to lead you into truth. Because I have an answer, not and see, this is important, it's not in a generic way.
Right.
It's not in a global, well, just ask me to do it and I'll do it. He said, no, there's something going on that you need to understand so that you can get to truth. And then my answer is going to deliver that truth, the solution to that problem, which then will lead you to the covenant. So it becomes very, very specific. Okay. So, okay, well, then I got to go to truth. How do I do that? All right. So what somebody would do is you'd go into dialogue, and this is where journaling really matters, is that write about how do you sense your weekend's going and why is it pleasant? And then what happens on Mondays?
Right.
And get very specific. What kind of problems happen? Who comes to you with problems? What type of problems are there?
Right.
Because
what are the things that are triggering you?
Triggering me and triggering the issues, so that as he described it, see, the issue is really a business problem. And that is that there are certain things that are going on with how that company is operating, so that Monday morning, it's always these big things that have to be resolved, and they go to him to resolve them. And it's burdensome, and it's sickening, and it's like, I'm sick of this. I'm tired of this. Okay, so now you have to get to describing what's going on. Why is it go on? What's going on that I can now get to truth? Because it either, again, you think about it real simple, either it's system related, your system, the way that your processing is broken down, and all these things happen because it normally doesn't get taken care of by your system, how you've approached it, or you've got people that aren't doing their job correctly. And there's something going on there that they're taking their problem and giving it to you, when either the system should be improved and or how they do things should be improved. And the thought would be, and here's the question: Father, could you give me the truth and show me how I can have my Mondays be normal without all these problems? Now, God knows the answer. We can get the answer if we have a heart to go, but you have to go deeper into the truth of it. Where is it breaking down? What do I got to do? What's your answer for this, for solving this? Which could be, well, you have this hiccup in your system, or you've got two people here that they're supposed to do something on Friday or Monday or Sunday, and they don't. And that causes your problem on Monday. And so by talking, and what do you have to say about this, is that God's word will become known, and then I process that word until I get to see his answer. And the key is that I got to trust something. He knows the answer, and it's very specific.
Right.
And it's unique to me. It came out of a fantastic conclusion, like, wait a minute, if I'm supposed to have covenant, why aren't I having it? And God says, well,
Right.
I need to show you this. I want you to have the covenant. It's not a generic thing. It's specific to you. Let's get to the truth of it. So I'd urge this person to take that first step. Feel free to email us in. What did you find out? And then we'll either keep it up on air or we'll do it personally to help you get through to the solution. And by the way, guess what? You get to experience the covenant.
Right.
And then you'll say, that's how it works. And that's how it works. Abide with him. Let him speak to you, show you, reveal to you, guide you to truth. And when you get there and you say, oh, okay, now I see, you pray it and it'll happen. And we'll get into more depth about this, but it's pretty fun.
What I love too, as you describe this, is I just see hope all over this question, because like you said, this person is experiencing covenant. But right now what they're experiencing is something that basically is compartmentalized.
Right.
And so, but the desire for covenant for us is 24/7.
Amen.
And so pressing in and recognizing as he presses in and asks God about this particular situation that's come up, he will reveal specific things to his circumstances, just like you said, that will speak truth and change things so that covenant can be delivered Monday through Friday as well. And can also speak to his heart. There may be heart adjustments that he's also wanting to reveal in this place. This is part of what is hindering covenant in this 24/7 too. So let's enjoy it. This is what I have for you, and pursue it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And there's, we actually teach this in the covenant course, but Psalm 34, one of the things is that 34:11, come and listen to me. I will teach you the fear of the Lord, who desires life, covenant life. It says, keep your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking deceit. Depart from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it. So that properly what you are doing is really that verse, is that you're saying, in the word, remember, evil is things that annoy, frustrate, irritate, and oppress you. He says, you got to say, I don't need to put up with this. I want to pursue shalom, favor. I want to pursue God. I need an answer to this. He said, and the way to get an answer, guess what? Say, yeah, something's not right here. Right. I don't know what it is yet, but there's something not right. Pursue my answer. I'll get it to you. And that's how he will experience the covenant, so that it's not, I want the covenant, give it to me. It's, since I have a heart to experience it, lead me into it. And I'll do it by, am I experiencing it or not? If you're not, well, then I'm not there yet. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And by the way, it doesn't mean you're not going to have trouble later on. So it's not a bubble. It's in the middle of a troubled world. I'll give you a covenant. Right. So we'll talk more about that. So
that's beautiful.
Hope you have fun on that, and we'll pick it up. But yeah, go to that first step, and then let's process it further.
I'm excited to see what God does with that. If anyone else has questions they would like to send in, be sure to send them in at questions@afjministry.com. And we will be excited to weave them into the conversation.
Yep.
Thanks so much for joining us on. Have a great day.
Yep. See you soon.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Come and See, your podcast for truth in a world of chaos. Brought to you by All for Jesus Living Waters Ministry. Send us your questions and comments, and tune in tomorrow for more answers to your personal questions about living life in God's truth. Remember, God's will is best and none better. His truth brings peace in this world of chaos.